So I spent the last week building spreadsheets to figure out whether a Roth 401k or a traditional 401k actually leaves you with more money in retirement. And what I found out is most of the advice out there is either pretty outdated or just flat out wrong. So in today's video, we're going to go over that. I'm going to show you the actual numbers, no hype, no generic advice, just the math that determines whether you retire with an extra few $100,000 or not. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so here's how these two accounts actually work. And I know you probably already know this, but we need to start here because the details really do matter. With a traditional 401k, you put money in before taxes. So let's say you make $80,000 a year and you contribute $10,000 to your traditional 401k. Your taxable income for that year drops to $70,000 and you're in the 22% tax bracket, so you just saved $2,200 in taxes. That feels good. The money grows tax-free inside the account, and then whether you retire out and start making money out, you pay income taxes on every dollar you withdraw. With a Roth 401k, it's the opposite. You contribute that same $10,000, but it comes out of your paycheck after the taxes. So your taxable income stays at $80,000. You don't get any tax break this year, but you pay the full $2,200 in taxes. But the money grows tax-free, and when you retire, every single dollar you take out is completely tax-free, no income tax ever. So, on the surface, these sound basically equivalent, right? You either pay taxes now or you pay taxes later. Most financial advisors will tell you to use traditional because you'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. And for decades, that was probably true, but today's different times. So I want to show you why that logic is breaking down and why for a lot of people watching this, Roth is actually the better move. Let's talk about the idea that you'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, because I think this is where most people get it wrong. Here's what a typical scenario actually looks like. You're making $80,000 a year while you're working. After the standard deduction of about $16,000, your taxable income is around $63,900. Your effective tax rate is about 13%, even though you're technically in the 22% bracket. Now you retire, let's say you need $60,000 a year to live on, and you're pulling that from your traditional 401k. But you also have Social Security kicking in, let's say $30,000 a year. Here's the thing. 85% of your Social Security becomes taxable when you have to have other income. So now you've got about $85,500 in income. After the standard deduction, you're looking at about $69,400 in taxable income. You know what tax bracket that puts you in? Still around the 22%. Your effective rate is about 12%, so you barely saved anything. And that's assuming tax rates stay exactly the same, which, let's be honest, they probably won't stay the same. The 22% bracket you're in right now, that used to be 25% before the 2017 tax cuts. And those tax cuts could expire. They could be raised. The government's running massive deficits right now. Social Security and Medicare are underfunded. You really think taxes are going to go down from here? Because personally, I don't think they are. And out of anything, they're probably going to go up. So with a traditional 401k, you're making a bet. You're betting the tax rates won't go up, that your retirement income will be way lower than your working income, and that you'll definitely be in a lower bracket. That's a lot of assumptions. With a Roth, you're paying a known tax rate today, and you're locking in tax-free withdrawals forever. You're protecting yourself against tax increases. You're not making assumptions about the future. Let me show you what this actually looks like in numbers. Alright, here's the scenario. You're 25 years old, you're going to contribute $10,000 a year for the next 40 years, and your investments will grow at 8% annually, which is roughly the stock market's long-term average. You're in the 22% tax bracket now. So, scenario 1, you use a traditional 401k for all 40 years. After 40 years, your account has grown to $2,590,565, which is not bad, but remember, you haven't paid taxes on any of this. So when you start withdrawing in retirement, you're going to owe taxes on everything. If you're still in the 22% bracket, you'll owe about $569,924 in taxes over your retirement. So your actual net worth after taxes is $2,000,000 and about $20,000. Okay, so scenario 2, you use a Roth 401k for all 40 years. But here's the thing. You're consuming $10,000, but you're paying taxes on it first. At 22%, your after-tax contribution. So scenario 2, you use a Roth 401k for all 40 years. But here's the thing. You're contributing $10,000, but you're paying taxes on it first. At 22%, your after-tax contribution is really only $7,800 per year. The other $2,200 went to taxes. After 40 years of growth, your account has $2,000,000 and about $20,000. But you don't owe a single dollar in taxes, so your net worth is about the same. And that's what I wanted to point out in this two scenarios. It is identical. If your tax bracket is identical in retirement, it mathematically does not matter which one you choose. The timing of when you pay taxes doesn't change the final result if the tax rate is the same. But here's where things get kind of interesting. Scenario 3, you choose Roth and tax rates go up. Let's say by the time you retire, the 22% bracket has been increased to 30%. Your Roth account still has the $2,020,000 in it, and you owe $0 in taxes, so your net worth is still that amount. Scenario 4, you chose traditional and tax rates go up to 30%, and your account has $2,590,000 in it, like before, but now you owe 30% in taxes on all of it. That's $777,000 in taxes. So your net worth is about $1.8 million. That's over a $200,000 difference. That's what I mean when I say Roth protects you against tax increases. You're locking in your tax rate today. With traditional, you're just hoping the government doesn't raise taxes over the next 40 years. And I don't know, that seems like a risky bet to me. But there's another problem with traditional accounts that almost nobody talks about, and it's a big one. It's called required minimum distributions, or RMDs. Starting at age 73, the IRS forces you to take money out of your traditional 401k, whether you need it or not. They calculate how much you have to withdraw based on your age and account balance, and you have to pay income tax on every dollar you're forced to take out. IRS, they're always going to want their money. Here's why this is a trap. Let's say you did a great job saving. You got $2 million in your traditional 401k at age 73. Congratulations. The IRS says you have to withdraw about $75,000 for the first year. You also have Social Security coming in, let's say $30,000. That's $105,000 in taxable income. And you know what tax bracket you're in now? 24%. Maybe higher depending on where the tax rates go at that point. And here's the worst part. You might not even need that money. Maybe you wanted to let it keep growing. Maybe you were planning to leave some for your children or grandkids. It doesn't matter. The government is forcing you to take it and pay taxes on it. I actually ran the numbers on this. A guy who retires with $1.5 million in a traditional 401k and gets forced into taking RMDs will pay about $320,000 more in taxes over his retirement than if he had the same amount in a Roth. Because the Roth has no RMDs during your lifetime, you can take out as much or as little as you want, and it's all tax-free. This is the part that kills me about the you'll be in a lower bracket in retirement. If you save a lot in a traditional account, the RMDs can actually push you into a higher bracket than if you were just working. So here's the framework I use to figure out which one makes sense. Choose a Roth IRA or traditional 401k if you're young. If you're under 35, you have so much time for that money to grow tax-free. The compound growth on that money never gets taxed, and it's incredible. Choose a Roth if you're in the 12% bracket or lower. Taxes will probably never be that low again in your lifetime. Choose Roth if you think your income is going to go up significantly. Choose Roth if you believe tax rates is going to increase, which in my opinion they probably will. And choose Roth if you want the flexibility in retirement, not having to worry about RMDs and that kind of stuff. Now, you could choose traditional if you're in the 32% tax bracket or higher right now, and you're very confident you'll be in a much lower bracket in retirement. That's possible if you're a high earner now and you plan to live modestly after. Choose traditional if you really need the tax deduction this year for cash flow purposes. And finally, choose traditional if you You want to retire in like a state that doesn't have any like state income tax. So think Tennessee, Florida, and Texas. But honestly, for most people watching this, especially if you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, Roth is probably the better move. That tax rate protection alone is worth it. And here's the thing though, you don't have to choose just one. You can do both. A lot of people split their contributions. Maybe you put 70% in a Roth and 30% in a traditional, or you max out your Roth 401k at work and then also contribute to a traditional IRA if you qualify for the deduction. This is called tax diversification, and it gives you options in retirement. Some years you might want to pull more from a Roth to keep your taxable income low. Other years you might want to pull from a traditional if you're in a lower bracket that year. The flexibility is pretty valuable. There's one more thing I need to mention because it just changed for 2026 and it's going to affect a lot of people. If you earned more than $150,000 from an employer last year, there's a new rule. Any catch-up contributions you make, those are the extra contributions you can make if you're over 50, have to go into a Roth account. You don't get a choice anymore. This is part of the Secure 2.0 Act. The government basically said, if you're a high earner and you're over 50, you're paying taxes now on those catch-up contributions. So if that's you, you need to make sure your 401k plan even offers a Roth option. If it doesn't, you can't make catch-up contributions at all. This is a pretty big change and not a lot of people know about it yet. So here's the bottom line. The old advice of traditional is always better because you'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement is based on assumptions that might not be true anymore. Tax rates have gone down over the past few decades, but that trend isn't going to continue forever. Deficits are huge, entitlement programs are underfunded, taxes are probably going up, not down. For most people under 40, Roth makes more sense. For most people in the 22% bracket or lower, Roth makes more sense. The math is pretty clear when you actually run the numbers. I'm not saying traditional is always wrong. If you're a high earner in the 35 or 37% bracket and you're confident you'll be in the 24% bracket or lower in retirement, traditional could save you a lot of money. But you have to be honest with yourself about what your retirement is actually going to look like. The point is, don't just blindly follow advice from your parents' generation or from a financial advisor who's giving you generic recommendations. Run your own numbers. Think about where tax rates are heading. Think about the RMDs. Think about the flexibility. Your retirement account decisions today could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars 30 or 40 years from now. It's worth spending probably 30 minutes to an hour just to look at it. If you want me to break down more retirement topics like this, like whether you should max out your 401k or your IRA first, or how to think about employer matches, or what to do if you're behind on retirement savings, let me know in the comments. And if this was helpful, share it with someone who's trying to figure this stuff out. Helps with the YouTube algorithm. This is the kind of an analyst you're not going to get from mainstream personal finance content, and that's the whole point of this channel. We're looking at the actual economics, the actual math, not just repeating some tired advice. So that's going to be it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.